Hi, I'm Dr. Jane Leonard. I'm a GP and cosmetic doctor, and this is the Confidence Clinic. Every week, I'm going to be sitting down with different guests to talk about their life story. We're going to talk about how they got to where they've got, the challenges they've overcome along the way, and how confidence has played a role in their journey. Today, I've got super talented tattoo artist Jay Hutton joining me. Jay is best known for hosting TV show Tattoo Fixers.
Growing up, I never thought about getting tattoos, never thought about wanting to be a tattoo artist. It never entered my mind, not even about having one.
Do you not really hurt?
I think it really hurts, yeah. I might be tattooing someone's child who's passed away, and I don't feel an ounce of pressure, not a single ounce. I feel like I could do it with my eyes closed if it was possible. My dad passed away a couple of years ago, and I think that's like the worst thing that's ever happened to me. That changed my life. You know, I've had so much good things happen. I've had such a great life, and I've had so much success, and I've also had some really shit, dark things happen in life. You know, you can have all the success in the world, that doesn't make your life perfect. I just don't quit. Never.
Is there anything that you regret? Hi guys, welcome to the Confidence Clinic. Today I've got super talented tattoo artist Jay Hutton joining me. Jay is best known for hosting TV show Tattoo Fixers, and more recently you were a judge on Tattoo Artist of the Year.
Yeah.
And he also has his own tattoo studio. So thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So kicking things off,
Yeah.
let's rewind a bit to your childhood.
Yeah.
Tell me what little Jay was like.
Little Jay. Well, I've always been like a happy person. Like I've always been. I'd had a really good childhood. So my mum and dad were great. It was me, my mum, my dad, and my brother. And yeah, we've been really tight forever. So we grew up in a little cul-de-sac in Abergele in North Wales.
Yeah.
My mum and dad actually didn't have a lot of money. They worked so hard. Like my dad used to sing like 7 nights a week. And my mum just worked in like cafes and pubs, like cleaning toilets and stuff like that. So they really struggled for money, but we never saw that. So I never felt like we ever didn't have much. We always had like enough. But it was the way we were brought up. We were brought up to appreciate everything we had. Yeah. So, and I just had a really great childhood. I think, you know, as I've got older, I've realised that not everyone has that same thing.
And it's funny, isn't it? We get obsessed with like the things that you think make you happy or make everything perfect when you're little, or you think if you're going to be a parent, what you actually need to do that. But actually, it's doing not the basics, but like that's what's important, the values and what you kind of brought up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, like I said, my dad used to sing 7 nights a week, so he was out at night. So my mum and dad were there in the day, and like my mum had a part-time job doing like the cafe and stuff like that. So we were always together. So they were around all the time. And, you know, a lot of people don't have that luxury, do they? Where one parent might be away more than the other and stuff like that. So we had a lot of time together. And I think that's really moulded us as, you know, people, because we spent both enough time with my mum and my dad, you know? So it was really good. So I think that's really helped shape who we are as people, and the men me and my brother have become as well.
So do you grow up in that area and kind of stay in that area?
Yeah, so I've been there my whole life until about 5 years ago. I moved to Chester. But yeah, that's where I'm from. So my mum and dad had the same house for my whole life, really. And then people know more. I say I'm from Abergele, but when I tell people, I say Rill, because
I know that.
You know exactly. So if you're from the northwest, you'll know Rill more than Abergele. So, and I used to hang around the Rill a lot. So yeah, that's where I've grown up all my life. So, and even now when I go back there, it still feels like home, even though I've created a life in Chester as well.
So when you were little, do you say that you were quite a confident kid, or were you shy? No. How would you describe yourself?
No, I was shy. Very shy, like really, yeah. I wouldn't say I was confident at all, really, when I was a kid. Yeah, so I used to just go home from school and just draw all night till I went to bed. I never used to go out with friends and stuff like that. So I was I would say probably when I was really young, I was quite introverted, really. So yeah, but I suppose in my long term, that's helped me with my drawing, because that's all I did every night. But as I got older, I got more confident and stuff. But that's through life experience and your situations you go through, and you know, and confidence is built, isn't it? You know, you build your confidence through the things you go through. So yeah.
Did you know you had a talent for art then?
Yeah. So that's funny actually, because I wasn't confident when I was a kid, but I was very confident in being able to draw. But I wasn't like an outward spoken kind of confidence. It was like an internal thing. I always just knew I was really good at art. But I didn't know I was good at drawing until I went to school and realised that people couldn't draw.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Can't draw.
Well, yeah.
Not at all.
So that was like baffling to me when I
Yeah.
was in school. I just, people used to say, oh my God, look at what you've drawn. I used to think, yeah, can't you do that? Like, and I just realised that no one else could do it. And then when I realised that some of the people who were getting credit for being good artists, I used to think, I could do that with my eyes closed. Like I used to think, I'm well better than you. But like it was in my head, I was never like cocky or anything like that. But yes, I was always confident in that without needing anything to build me up for it. So yeah, I don't know.
Did your parents encourage you? Did they see your talent? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My mum and dad. I would say that's again where my confidence grew from was my mum and dad. Like even like when we were growing up, my dad always used to say stuff to me like, you know, you're special, you are, and stuff like that, and just from really young ages and stuff like that, you know, and you should say that to me and my brother and stuff. So, you know, and the thing is, my dad was like my hero. So anything my dad said, I'd believe it. You know, like, so if he could have said, if he'd have told me I could walk on water, I'd have believed I could, you know. So I think that's where it like sort of started all from. And then, you know, because I kept hearing these things from the people you look up to the most, it just grew and grew from there. But I'm not a cocky person at all.
No, not at all.
I'm just confident in who I am. Yeah.
That's amazing about your dad doing that, because it is those little things before you know it kind of just like infiltrating into your brain at that young age. So you kind of have that understanding of yourself as you're growing and developing.
It's true. And you know what? It's funny actually, because it's only now as I'm older I realise these things of what my dad was doing really, because I can remember being, I don't know, must have been around 7. Like some of my earliest memories. And I remember my dad sitting me down once and saying, and he was an intense character at times, and I didn't know what drugs were or anything like that. And I remember him sitting me down and saying to me, and he'd look me in the eyes when he said, he'd be like, if you ever take drugs or you even try drugs, I'll disown you. Really? Right? Yeah. And I remember thinking I didn't even know what
7?
drugs. Yeah, I was really young. Yeah. And I remember thinking, being fucking like, oh fucking hell, what drugs? Like I didn't even know what they were. Yeah. But what happened was, because I was so young and my mind was so like, you know, influential at that point, easily influenced, sorry, it stuck with me forever. So when the time came where later on in my life where I was around people who took drugs and did stuff, it was just a no for me. Like it was never something I ever thought about doing. I never thought I want to try it. You know, it just instantly to me was seen as subconsciously was a bad thing. Yeah. And so I always said no, never, and so never got involved in that. So
it never even kind of was like, oh, maybe. It was just like,
no, it was instant no. Yeah, it was a non-negotiable for me. So like, and I know now when I look back as an older man, like I realised what he was doing, and what he was doing was setting those things in place so that I wouldn't go down and fall into that trap that people do end up taking drugs. So he was just instilling these like things into me and my brother when we were very young, and I just think, yeah, that was the right way to do it, because it's made me like that.
And also it's that bit in your mind, or as the mind of a child, when your brain is quite malleable, when you're still learning things. Yeah. It's just, you get these, it's like recurrent messages, and once it's in your mind, the same way as the way he's supporting you, supporting your talent, and kind of like, not in a way to make you big-headed, just so that you know you're special, you've got something that other people don't have. Yeah. That's amazing.
That's exactly what it was like, and you know, my mum was the same. And then, so it just grew from there. That's where my confidence, I'd say, it started off.
And at school, did you enjoy school?
Yeah, did enjoy school. Yeah, I can't lie, I did enjoy it. There's ups and downs with school when everyone goes, isn't there? But I enjoyed school overall. It was a good experience for me. And like, I think I enjoyed my last year, like everyone does, as much as more than any, to be honest. But then I stayed on to sixth form because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I just stayed on, and I just bummed about a little bit, really. I was just...
And what were you doing in sixth form? Sixth form's A-levels, isn't it?
Yeah. So I did media, drama, because that was a bit of fun. You just piss about. I did psychology for a little bit. What else did I do? Oh, media studies as well. But I dropped the psychology after a while, which I wish I'd never did, really, because I'm well into all that now. But I think that then I was only like 16, 17, so I just didn't have the capacity, I don't think, in my brain to stick with it. Yeah. And I just did that, and I didn't really know. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I remember, like, all my friends and stuff were like their plans were to go off to university and do that stuff, but I just never really, I wasn't an academic person like that really. I was just, and I thought, I can't see myself going to uni, and if it was, it'd be to piss about again, and I don't want to just blow my life away by messing about while I'm there and not getting anything done.
Yeah, it's funny actually because at that age, I remember that quite well actually. When you're 17, you've got to make massive decisions that you've got to, like, if you're going to go to uni, stick to this. Like in my case, like 6 years down the line.
Yeah.
And actually, if that's not right for you, and you've done many things, you can't sometimes move forward without get it. It's quite, and at 17 when we don't know really what you're going into or how much you want to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. I had no idea at all what I was going to do. So, yeah, for those couple of years, I mean, this is what I enjoyed because I was just having fun. I was like, it was almost like being a free spirit. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what was around the corner. I was just winging it, basically.
Did you have loads of friends?
Yeah, I've got like my closest mates are still like my best mate was all my best mate throughout the whole of school. Like he lives 5 doors down from me now. We're still best mates. So I've always had like my number ones, and then I've made friends over the years. And then, you know, some friends come and go, and it's just one of them, isn't it?
So let's talk about tattoos.
Yeah.
So how did all that come up? When did you get your first tattoo?
18. That's the legal age.
Yeah.
So
did you want to get it as soon as you'd kind of crossed over that line?
Do you know what? I never, growing up or anything like that, I never thought about getting tattoos, never thought about wanting to be a tattoo artist. It never entered my mind, not even about having one. And then my brother had one. He was a bit more rogue than me back in the day. So like I was influenced by him because he's my older brother. I used to look up to him and stuff like that. So he'd do the stuff first that, you know, even my dad didn't want us to have tattoos. We didn't like them. So then Dan went and secretly had one. And I was like, oh my God, you know, that looks cool. And so, yeah, I didn't have one until I actually started tattooing. Even when I got the apprenticeship, I didn't have one. Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't even have one then.
So you weren't one of these people who loved tattoos and then wanted to pass on?
No, not at all. I literally
What to pass on?
Yeah, I just literally could draw. Saw Miami Ink and thought tattooing was cool and wanted to do that. And then once I got the apprenticeship, I thought, yeah, I don't even know what it feels like. And the guy actually said to me, he was like, you know, you're going to have a tattoo before you tattoo anyone else. And
yeah, because it's you. Yeah, it's like me doing Botox, and I've got a wrinkly forehead. They're not going to like it. They're not though.
No, but the thing is as well, you don't know what you're going to put someone through. You don't even know what pain you're putting them through. You need to experience it. So, yeah. So, yeah.
What was your first one?
First one was I had a tattoo machine. It was some artwork off the wall, which was a tattoo machine, and it was made out of money. It was a little bit gangster and a bit cool at the time. I thought it was cool, so I got that.
On your leg?
On my leg, yeah. I started on my legs, and to be fair, one of the things I had to do was practice on myself as well. So, yeah, and I remember him saying to me, you know, if you want to be a tattoo artist, you've got to sacrifice a leg. And I was like, shit. Like,
what?
Oh, I mean, I've sacrificed more than that. I'm covered in shit now. I'm covered in absolute shit from head to toe, pretty much. Like, all my tattoos are a bit naff. But do you know what? I don't even regret it. Like, I don't even, like, people say, are you bothered? And I'm like, no, I'm not bothered at all, because it's like, it's like if you have a birthmark, you don't even think about it. They're just part of me now.
And actually, it's part of your journey to get you to where you've got. Exactly. It's not like when people have done something where it's they massively regret it.
Yeah, no.
Right. So so you just got loads of them. They're just like memories of what, just stuff going wrong, or just like
not going wrong. No, it's just like I think my personal thing is that I think they should make the age you get a tattoo a bit older. Because you're a different person from 18 to 28.
Yeah.
You know? So the tattoos I got when I was 18, I wouldn't have now. I'm 33, I wouldn't have them now. But, you know, they're so permanent. So, yeah, I just think you change a lot. So it's not that I don't like them or they're that bad. It's just that they're not me really anymore. So, but, you know.
Do any of them stand for like any memories or specific things? I know like many people probably come to you and that's the reason why they're getting them done. Yeah. But if you were just kind of, I want to use words messing about, but obviously that you weren't, but like practicing on yourself, maybe that's not the things you'd be doing.
No, practice on unless if you're an apprentice in a studio, practice on yourself is pretty much you got to do it. It's like, it's almost like a ritual. Like if I had an apprentice at my shop, they're practicing something on themselves. Definitely, it's just got to be done.
Does it not really hurt?
I think it really hurts, yeah.
I think it probably hurts more if you're doing it on yourself.
Well, yeah. Well, I always say it's almost like a form of self-harm, isn't it? Like you're actually just hurting yourself, aren't you? So, but there's been a few that I've thought before I'd done them on myself, I thought, yeah, this won't be that bad. Like I wrote my studio name on my stomach, and I thought it won't be that bad. And as soon as I did the first line on it, I was like, oh my God, that was well worse than what I thought it was going to be. And
how do you do that?
I was stood up. So I'm stood up and I'm just stretching the skin and then...
Which way? Well, how do you know you're writing it the right way?
Well, I put the stencil on, so to me it's upside down, but to you,
yeah, okay,
it reads right. So I'm just following the lines, really.
That's basically how you do it then, put the...
Yeah. So I did the first line and thought, fucking hell, it's way more than I thought it was going to be. And basically, if I was to do this tattoo on anyone else, it would have took me... The whole thing to line it, power line it, shade it in, would probably take me about 45 minutes to an hour max. This took me 2.5 hours just to outline it and 2 years to shade it in. I just couldn't do it. I just didn't have the bottle to do it. And then I eventually did it.
What, were you just walking around with like a half-written word?
No, the word was there. It was outlined, but I just didn't
Okay.
shade it in and make it look good for 2 years.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it was a long process. But I mean, I've done it to myself loads of times.
So, how did Tattoo Fixers come about?
So, okay, so it's a bit of a long story, so I'll try and keep it as short as possible. So, I opened my shop when I was 21, and I'd already been at a tattoo shop for 3 years before that. And when I was moving to this new area, which was about an hour away, I was starting from scratch. My reputation was back home in North Wales, not in Ellesmere Port.
Right, okay.
So I had to start from scratch. So in my head, I was thinking, how can I make this different to every other tattoo shop? How can I make myself stand out? So I knew my work was good, so that was already there. But I thought I want to make myself stand out as a tattoo artist. And I noticed that there were some tattooists at the time who were tattooing celebrities, and they were getting so much recognition, people going to them. And I was thinking, I can tattoo better than that. And but they're getting a lot of recognition.
Just by the person.
I wasn't jealous or anything. I just thought I could do that, in some way. So at the time, I was, Twitter had not long come out. And when I was young, like if you wanted to speak to a celebrity, you had to write them a letter, whereas on Twitter, like if someone had a blue tick and they tweeted something, you could literally comment and they might see it, reply to their comment. So I just thought, well, so if I reply to that person, they might see my work, So I used to just spam the shit out of every celebrity. Like, no matter what they wrote online, if it was like eating food today, whatever, I'd reply to it and put tattoos by Jay Hutton, follow me. And I'd put pictures of my work on it. And I used to just spam everyone. And I used to think they'll either follow me or block me. So anyway, long story short, loads of them followed me and a couple blocked me. But what ended up happening, I ended up tattooing a couple of celebrities. So at the time I tattooed a lad, he was on Geordie Shore at the time. And when these people came to my shop, I got pictures with them, got pictures of me tattooing them. My local paper then took pictures of it. So when it would go out in the local paper, it'd say like celebrity tattooist. I'd take a picture of that. I'd put that on the internet and just keep doing that. And I just kept the same thing. And then more and more celebrities kept coming to me. So then I was known as like this celebrity tattooist, like in my area, and I used to tattoo celebrities. So I started building like a reputation for myself, and I just kept the momentum going. Long story short, as a result of that, I got noticed for Tattoo Fixers.
Right.
And then they approached me on Twitter.
So it's that same way of kind of using social media platforms to kind of showcase your work.
Absolutely.
Show who's doing it, get them to speak about it.
Yeah.
But you were one of the first people to do it, really.
Yeah.
Because now it's so common.
Yeah.
If anything, now it's something that probably doesn't get the same recognition as what.
No, because back then, like I said, like it was a new thing, that the Twitter thing and having celebrities with a blue tick was just like, oh my God, they might see something you write. So it was a new thing then, whereas now, you can just speak to celebrities on any day of the week, can't you? It's like a normal thing. And most of the time they reply anyway. Yeah. So like it was a big thing back then.
How old were you when you got cast for that?
I got approached for it when I was 24.
Right.
And I turned 25 just before the first season came out. Yeah. It was mad.
So it's kind of perfect timing though, wasn't it? If you set up your own shop at 21, done that work, got your confidence, kind of transferred your reputation from Wales to Ellesmere Port.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then did it really kind of push your business further forward by being?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that's the reason I did it. Like, I wasn't trying, like I say this a lot, I wasn't trying to be on TV to be famous for being famous. I wanted to be a famous tattooist. I wanted to showcase what I can do, and to build my profile for my business, which is what I've done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was the goal. So it wasn't particularly like all the stuff that came with being famous, like the bonuses of being like award shows and red carpet and stuff like that was just like all luxury bonuses to me. I wasn't planning on doing that, but like it completely like has helped my business grow massively.
And at that age, at 25, so you're a business owner.
Yeah.
You're kicking it off. You're working hard behind the scenes to move it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're on TV.
Yeah.
So as much as those two things, even like by themselves, a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
a lot of stress associated with that. Many people kind of don't see. Like they're things that so many people aspire to do, but don't see behind the scenes. Not what effects, but like the pressure that comes with it.
Yeah.
How do you manage those? The pressure, the stress.
I'm quite a chilled character anyway, so I can understand, like, you know, getting in the public eye, you know yourself, like when people just start knowing who you are, it's weird. Like for me, it was weird because I'm just a normal lad from Abergele, so like to then go from just being a normal tattooist to then, like, I mean, most of the UK who watch Tattoo Fixers, you know, million viewers a night it was getting, suddenly just know who you are. You walk out in the street and everybody goes, Jay, you know, like you think, wow, this is weird. And it's funny because when you're a kid, you're told not to talk to strangers, aren't you? So it's still in your mind. You know,
your dad
just start talking.
That, you're like, I can't speak to you.
Yeah, I'm just like, people coming up to me and I'm like, it took me a while to get used to just people staring at me and saying all right to me who I don't know. It was like, it was a bit weird and a bit like, you walk down the street, be on the phone and there'd be some lad staring at you thinking, what's he staring at? And then next minute you go, all right, Jay, and I go, oh, right, all right, mate. And I think, oh, he noticed me off the telly. That's what it is. So that took me a while to get used to. It was weird, but I didn't feel no pressure. I honestly didn't feel pressure because I'm just doing what I do anyway on TV. So it wasn't like I'd gone on something else or like a reality TV show and was trying to be a character or show off a different side, you know, trying to be somebody that I'm not. I've literally just gone on a TV show, and especially on Tattoo Fix, I'm not in front of a crowd or anything. I'm literally in a room like this, in a studio with people that I've learned to know. And they were my friends who I'm tattooing with. So it's just like having banter in my studio, but there's just cameras there. And then the next minute, it only changes when you walk outside. Everything else was normal. So I'm just completely me on the TV, and then I got outside and everyone's like, the hardest thing is the expectation that everyone has of you suddenly, because they watch the show, they see you, they think they know you. And then the expectation of when, you know, you could be having a bad day, you could be having any sort of day, and you could walk outside and someone wants you to be Jay off Tattoo Fixers because that's their moment. They've met you for the first time. And I'm always kind and polite to anyone that ever meets me. I've never, ever been rude to anybody, and I would never be. But that's the only thing I think is difficult, that you almost then have to switch into, because that's their first time meeting you, and you don't want to give off a bad impression of and come across like something you're not. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that was difficult-ish, but not that bad. I wasn't that stressed by it.
How many series did you do?
I did 6. So I did 6. I think there was 8 in total. Yeah, I think they did 2 more after I left. And now they don't do it anymore, but I think that's down to COVID happening and stuff like that. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was a good time.
And leaving it, what was it like leaving it behind?
Fine. I was comfortable. I'd thought about it for a while, to be honest. I'd thought about leaving it for a while. So by the time I actually made the decision, I was comfortable. You know, I'm not the type of person who would just make a decision off a whim. I've never been like that. I always think things through. Yeah. So I was totally comfortable with the decision I made. So by the time I actually left, I was cool with it. So, and I wanted the show to do well. After, you know, some people think, you know, about you wanted it to. I didn't want it to sink. I wanted it to. You know, I'd help create it. I helped build it. You know what I mean? So the last thing I'd want it to do is just plummet. Do you know what I mean? So no, it was, and it has. It's known as like one of the biggest tattoo shows that's ever been in the UK, if not the biggest. Yeah. I think it is the biggest, to be honest.
Looking back, what were your main reasons for leaving?
A lot of things, really. There was a lot of things going on behind the scenes, but more so, I'm constantly doing cover-ups, and any tattooist will tell you this, is that there's nothing like tattooing fresh skin. Like, I can only work, if I'm tattooing over something, I can only make that new tattoo look as good as I can with something underneath it, which means I have to manipulate it to cover something, which means it might be darker in certain places that it wouldn't be if I was to do it fresh.
So it can't be perfect.
So it can't be perfect in most cases. So I'd got to the point, I was never at my studio. I was always down there filming. So I never got time to be at my studio. So that was never there. I was never there. And doing cover-ups. And I just felt like my tattooing got a bit stagnant because that's all I'm doing. So I wanted to go away and I wanted to show what I can actually do.
Yeah. Like, the reason why you went on it.
Yeah, the reason I went on it. Yeah. And as much as I was showcasing a lot of my work, I was showcasing my work as a cover-up tattoo artist. And really, I'm a portrait realism tattoo artist. So I went away and thought, I just want to take my tattooing to the next level. And I feel like that's what I've done.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So when people come on Tattoo Fixes, it's because they've have a tattoo that they regret or something like that. What's the worst ones you've seen?
Oh, God. I mean, in terms of the quality of them being done, they're all as bad as each other pretty much. None of them are the good. But it's the stories more than anything. It's like the stories, that's what makes it. But, I mean, there was a guy that, like, he bought a T-shirt from somewhere and it was like, it had a big, like, tyre mark down it. This white T-shirt that had a big tyre mark down it, so it looked like he'd been run over. He had it tattooed on his body. It was about the size of my leg. It was about this wide. It went straight up him. Big tyre mark. And
what was his reason or memory or thing you wanted to remember about that tyre mark? Why was it so...
He just liked the T-shirt. So then he got it tattooed on him. And then he was like, yeah, can you do it? I was like, no, mate. There's nothing I can do with that. You'll have to get that lased off. Like, there's nothing I can do with it. Impossible. Like, because it's so black. It was just a black tyre mark.
Oh, my God.
I'm thinking, I know I can work miracles, but I can't in this situation. Yeah, so that's one of the worst. But then it's the stories, like, behind some of them. They're just. I can't even believe some people come on TV and just openly come out with some of the stuff they do. But, each to their own, isn't it? It makes great TV.
Yeah. I know we spoke about yours, but do you really regret any of them?
No, I can't say I regret them. Like, I look at some of them and think, I wish I could start again. But not in a regretful way, because I'm not that bothered. Like, I don't care. I'm past caring, to be honest. Like, I mean, now I've got so much shit on my chest and stomach now that it's like, it's almost looked like, I look like a drawing pad, honestly, because I've got like so much incoming. And then my brother started to cover up on me, which I haven't got any further with, just because I can't be sitting for the pain and just... And at the point now, I'm just like, I don't even look at them.
What, so you've got a half-done cover-up over your drawing?
I mean, you can sort of see, like, can you see loads of... I mean, you couldn't tell what that is if I showed you now, could you? You can't see what anything is there. Nothing. No. That's what I look like. So if I go on holiday... Do you know what's funny? I go on holiday, right?
Yeah.
And I've took my top off, and people, like, especially I go to America, right? And I've been to, like, pool parties in Vegas, and I've had people come up to me and go, oh, my God, your tattoos are amazing. I'm like, are you blind? What are you looking at?
That's so funny. Do you think, though, people expect... Well, I think they would expect, because of your job and you being on the TV, and you've been expert in it, to have, like, the most prestigious... Well, not prestigious, but the best ones going. But actually, the flip side is funnier.
Yeah, probably. But I used to work with a tattooist who'd been tattooing 30 years, and he looked like a proper tattooist. He was bald head, big guy, tattoos all over his head and stuff like that. And one of the first things he ever said to me when I was 18, I started tattooing, he goes, "You're not a real tattooist unless you're covered in shit." That's what he said to me, and I was like, yeah. So I guess that makes me a real tattooist.
So you didn't feel, and you had to practice.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah.
Talking about regrets in a more broader sense.
Yeah.
Looking back in your life, is there anything that you regret?
Wow. Regret. I don't regret. Not really. I can't really, because I think, it's made me who I am, and I'm happy with who I am. So that's the biggest thing for me, is if I'm happy with who I am, then everything good and bad has shaped me to be this person. So
I get that. I suppose one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast is to kind of talk about how people's journeys and sort of things going wrong, things not turning out that they're, the way you wanted, things not going your way, actually can be a blessing in disguise, because maybe you learn something from it, or it redirects you into another path that is actually better for you. Yeah. Have you had anything like that happen?
Yeah, loads. I'd like... Nothing's perfect, like I've had loads of failures in my life, like loads of them. I've been through some I've had so much like good things happen. I've had such a great life, and I've had so much like success and stuff like that. And I've also had some really shit, dark things happen in life, and some really bad times. But, that's life at the end of the day as well, isn't it? And it's not going to be perfect no matter what. You know,
Yeah.
you can have all the success in the world. That doesn't make your life perfect, you know. So, you know, and all these things shape you to be who you are. And I think it's, in terms of confidence, I think, you know, every experience you have, good and bad, for me, the thing I've learned, and that's what builds my confidence, is how you've reacted to everything that's happened to you. You know, how you overcome the stuff that happens to you, more so the bad stuff. It's all right to be looking like you've got the perfect life when everything's going good, but what are you like as a person when everything's going bad? Like, when everything's not going your way, how do you react to things? Like, I just don't quit. Never. Like, it's not even, like, it's not a negotiable thing that's even on the table for me. Like, no matter how bad anything is, I wouldn't give up or give up on myself either. So, like, I think that's maybe, like, why I've got through some of the stuff I've got through, really.
I think it's that thing of when bad things are happening, or when you're feeling bad. Actually, it doesn't necessarily have to feel it's a bad thing. If you're going through moments where you're feeling low, or you just don't feel yourself, or you know, I think something I've definitely learned is those feelings will actually pass. It's kind of just sitting with them and riding it through, and knowing actually you might be feeling like this, or like it will with time change, and it's just kind of having that belief in the process.
Yeah, it is.
Whatever
absolutely.
needs to be done to get through it.
Yeah, I remember watching a thing actually. Of Tom Hanks was talking about this, and he was saying that, you know, time's your ally, and that's so true. You know what's happening now in the moment can be the worst thing. You know, but you know, if you just ride it out, like, just one step at a time. I find that, like, you know, I know I've told you this before. You obviously know my dad passed away a couple of years ago, and I think that's like the worst thing that's ever happened to me. So, like, and one thing I did at that time was just put one foot in front of the other. I didn't think too far ahead. I was like taking today for to get through today, and tomorrow. I didn't think about past tomorrow. Like, it was like today and tomorrow. What am I doing? Right, I've got to do this. This is what I've got to do today and tomorrow. I don't think about the weekend. I don't think what's happening next week. One step at a time, and the next minute, you know, you're 2 years down the line, and you're in a different position. You know.
Sounds like your dad had a major part in your life.
Yeah. My dad's like, in my opinion, he's the greatest man to ever live. So, he was like my best mate. So, yeah, that changed my life.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, like I said, you know, when you go through dark times and things like that, they shape who you are, and you find out a lot about yourself when bad things are happening. Yeah.
It's that process of grief, isn't it? It's unique to everyone. It's like,
absolutely, yeah.
Just moving forward.
Yeah.
Is sometimes all you can do.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's like I said, for me, giving up is not an option. So, like, what do I do then? Okay, well, I've got X, Y, Z to do. I've got responsibilities. I've got to take care of this. You know, the thing is as well, one thing I've learned about that situation is that life does not give a shit about how you feel.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. Like, so, like, you know, it would have been easy for me to just sit there and, you know, constantly cry about it and get really low and stop going to work and not get out of bed and all this stuff. But then everything else that I've built up starts failing.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're in a worse rut than you're already in.
Yeah.
So, you know, I knew that I had responsibilities, you know, the mortgage, you know, people don't care about my dad passing away.
Yeah, of course they don't
care.
know.
You know, anyone that I owe bills to, like, don't care. Oh, your dad's passed away, still want the money. You know, I've still got to go to work. I've still got to get up. I've still got to do these things.
Yeah.
I've still got to take care of people, you know, so I just had to keep going. And that's just the way it is. That's just, yeah.
Going through something like that as well when you're young, I think, like, as you describe it, what you take from it as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know how strong you are now.
Yeah.
You know what you can, like, carry on your shoulders and still keep moving forward. And
Yeah.
also doing things that are, like, uncomfortable. Like, you don't want to deal with grief. You don't want to deal with feeling like that and going to what you don't want to deal with. Things, but actually, because you just do.
Yeah.
Anything then that comes in your way in the future that is hopefully nothing will be as bad as that. But even the small things which previously will be overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know exactly how to deal with them, exactly how to move forward. So
yeah, I find that to be fair. Like, and like, I always compare everything to losing my dad. Now I think it's not as bad as losing my dad. I got through it, and I'm getting through that. So, you know, if anything doesn't go my way, I just think, well, I got through that, so I can get through this.
Did you have any support or counselling or anything like that?
Professional support, you mean? No, no, I don't need it. Like, if I'm honest, like, it's just a personal thing. I just don't feel like I needed it. I'm not knocking it for anyone that wants, thinks they do need it. You should go. If you feel like you need that, you should definitely go. I just didn't feel like I needed it. I feel, for me, I just feel like no one knows me better than me. Like, it's only me in here. So I know all the thoughts I have. I know how to rationalize the way I'm feeling. I know why I'm feeling this way. I know how to deal with the way I'm feeling. I know that I need to let it out. I might need to vent. Then I need to move on. For me, it's like, let it out, move on. Let it out, move on.
Yeah.
And keep doing that until the gaps between the letting it out get longer. And that's what happens over time, to the point where you get, like, it's, for me, like, now, like, it still doesn't even feel real that my dad's not here. But at the same time, I'm getting more used to the fact that he's not here, because I've been through all the first stages of everything. Like, the first of everything is always the hardest. So like my dad's was a mad Liverpool. See, even I'm saying my dad is like. No, my dad was a mad Liverpool fan. So am I. I'd never been to Anfield to a game without him. So when he passed away, I couldn't even watch Liverpool for like a year. I couldn't even watch them on the TV, and so it took me a long time to even go back there. And the first time it was always the hardest. Now I've been back 3 or 4 times, and it's still hard every time, but it's a different hard now, because I've created a couple of new memories going there without him.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that the more I do that, the more I'll get used to it a bit more, and it won't be as hurtful, and I'll enjoy it more, Yeah. And it's like the same thing, something happens, I think, I'll ring my dad, and I think, I can't. First time. Next time, I get a bit more used to that. And just over a long, like, again, times your ally, you get used to it a bit more, I suppose. And that's, I think you'd never get over it, but it's just something you carry with you forever, and you get used to it a little bit-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Anything like that, it's just when... Also, I imagine, like, it was a shock, wasn't it, when he passed away?
Yeah, it was sudden. Yeah, he had a heart attack, so it was really, like, it wasn't...
Not that it's any easier if it's a long drawn.
No.
It's just like, all of a sudden, it's just dealing with...
I don't know which one's harder. I don't think any of them are harder than the other. Like, it's hard if he was suffering. That's horrible. I've seen that happen to people I love, And so, but then, the day he passed away, I didn't know he was going to pass away. So, like, I was with him an hour before he did as well. So, and there was no sign of it. There was no sign, like, he was fine. So when that happened, it's just a shock to the system. So, yeah, it's a weird one. So, but then I've experienced it in different aspects as well. Like, 2 weeks before that, my granddad passed away as well of a heart attack suddenly. 2 weeks before that, yeah. So that was 2 that were just gone like that suddenly. And then within the next year, my auntie passed away she had cancer. So that was on the opposite side then. So then you see the flip side of each thing, like how it being quick and how it being dragged out as well. And so you just when these things happen, you have a proper different perspective on life when it happens. It changes who you are. And
all of that happening at once, though, is pretty tough.
Yeah. There's a lot going on at once at one time. Yeah, it was a heavy time. But I was just like, well, I don't even know how. I just took each day as it came, and that was it. And I think that's all you can do, really. Because if you think too far ahead, it can become overwhelming. I think that's where people get too, down, and it swallows them up.
And like thinking about doing things like, because everyone likes planning stuff, don't they? I'm going to go on this holiday. We'll do this at Christmas. You go to Anfield, and then you'll start thinking, and then you're like, it's not going to be the same. Yeah, I'm going to really miss my dad, or this is what I used to do with them. It's kind of, it's just dealing with, and that's not going to go away, is it?
No,
you just
that's
get
it.
Better.
Yeah, like I said, you get used to that person's not there now.
Yeah.
But it never, it doesn't feel any better. It never, like, you never get to the point where you think, I'm all right now. It's never like that. You just carry it with you constantly, and it's just it's a daily thing you just carry with you. Like, I wake up, the first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning is my dad. Like, and the moment I open my eyes, I realise he's not here. So, and then you have to think, right, oh yeah, that's it again now. And then it's just...
Every day?
Yeah, every day, yeah. Every single day. And it's like, my mum and my brother are the same, we all feel the same things, it's exactly the same. So we all talk about this between us, but the one thing we don't do is let ourselves dwell and get down on it too much. We have our moments with each other and or alone and stuff like that, but we always talk about it, and then we just move on. Move forward.
And that probably makes you so much closer in a different way, doesn't it?
Well, the thing is, we've always been so close, and you know, me, my mum, my dad, and my brother. It's always been us four. It's always been. So now that my dad's not there, it's really weird. But, you know, we've got like I remember when my dad passed away, and people were saying, you know, oh yeah, but you've got great memories. And I remember thinking at the time, what the fuck does that like? But actually, now as time goes on, they make me sad as well, obviously. But like they bring me so much comfort as well, because imagine if I had negative memories. The whole thing would be even more negative than it is from just losing my dad.
Yeah.
Imagine if I had negative memories. I don't have great memories, which obviously is like a balancing act of being sad and think. But I'd rather have happy memories than sad ones, you know? And so, yeah, it just changes your whole life and your whole perspective on it. But, you know, it is life at the end of the day, you know? So you just got to keep going no matter what.
So with other things, like, just thinking what I can follow that with.
Deep, right?
Right, okay, so let's talk about
yeah, we got deep there.
Just generally, though, I suppose,
yeah.
in your general life, stress relief, how do you manage stress? What do you do, like, practically?
So I do jiu-jitsu and MMA, and I think actually that's one of the big things that's really helped me like massively, because I threw myself into it. Like I train all the time, like even whether it be weights, jiu-jitsu, MMA, boxing, Thai boxing, whatever. Like I train 6 days a week, and I have to do it. Like it's just it's just my thing that I do, and I don't know if maybe it's a coping mechanism, I don't know, but like it's just do you know what it was? It's funny actually, without going back and forth to the situation about my dad being neggy. I remember at the time thinking I still was going to the gym and I was still doing all these things. I remember thinking I want to not do anything. That's how I really felt. I really thought I can't be arsed doing anything. I don't want to do anything. I want to eat shit and I want to do nothing. But I thought I can't do that, because if I just do that for long enough, this situation will be worse. And the last thing I want to do is walk past the mirror and go, you look like shit and all.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I want to just keep myself in the best shape I can possibly be in, and then I'll be able to deal with things mentally better and stuff like that as well. So that's what I did. I just threw myself into training constantly, and that's all I've done. Like I go to work, I tattoo, I spend all my time with my family and friends. Like that's another thing. I spend most of my time with my family and friends, and I train all the time, and it's just something I have to do. Yeah. And it just works for me completely.
It's that habits, isn't it? The habits that you create, and you continually do them, even the small ones.
Yeah.
And I read something yesterday about like you're basically a product of the 5 main habits that you do. Yeah. And that's like no matter what they are every day. Yeah. So having those sort of actions that you do consistently, and it's the consistency and the discipline. Yeah. And it's often many things that you sacrifice for them. But that is what molds you into who you are. Absolutely, yeah. And when you, I wanted to turn the feeling of how shit it feels into something positive. So like, I don't want to be, I would hate for people to have, seen me like a year or so down the line and be like, what the fuck happened to you? Yeah. You know what I mean? I wanted to, people, not that I wanted people to, I just didn't want people to say that, basically. Yeah. So I wanted to just prove to myself as well that I could get through it, so I did. So that's what I used to do. I just used to train and do that. And it's like a release for me, to be honest. Yeah. And, I post, funny enough, I find a lot of Instagram and social media is quite fake. Well, it's very fake. You see a lot of people, they're posting things like they're on holiday when they're not on holiday. They're in England, but they're posting pictures like they're now. Yeah. And it's actually messing with a lot of people's minds. They think, because they're comparing their lives to it, right? Yeah, my comparison culture is... It's the worst. Whereas my Instagram and my social media, I feel is real. I'm posting what I'm doing. If it's a tattoo, I've done that tattoo. If I'm training, it's because I'm training. I'm not posting a video where I'm training. I'm only doing it like once a month. I'm training 6 days a week, whether it be weights, jiu-jitsu, whatever. So, and I get people messaging me all the time saying, "Are you training for a fight or something?" I'm like, no, I'm not. Like everyone thinks I'm gonna do up some big fight. It's nothing to do with that. I'm just showcasing what I'm doing. I'm just training. I just train. That's what I do. And you're proud of your progression. If you continually stick to something, particularly like you say, for the bad times, the last thing you want to do is go and do that. Yeah. and then you just do it relentlessly. So that
Yeah.
then, because you've done it when the times have been so shit and you've not wanted to go.
Yeah, that's
when
it.
when it's like, okay, like I'm gonna go tonight, then you just do it.
Yeah.
Because you're delighted it's not as bad as it.
And I'd say that's what builds confidence is doing the things you don't want to do when you
Yeah.
have to do them. Like I come home from work. I've been working all day. It's raining outside. The last
Yeah.
thing I want to do is drive all the way to Liverpool and then get beaten up. You know.
Yeah.
So, but I never walk out of the gym and think, I wish I didn't do
Yeah.
that. It's always been a positive.
Also,
so I
with your
push myself
job
to go.
though, when you're tattooing, you're concentrating
Mm.
for absolutely ages, and
Yeah.
that you must be, tuning in a part of your brain.
Yeah.
You've got to consistently do. Like even when I'm doing aesthetics and stuff like that, I'm like, I've done Botox and filler now so many times that I kind of just know what I'm
You
doing
just know what
with
you're
it.
doing, yeah.
But I'm doing it in short bursts, and in that time, I'm like speaking to the patient, catching up with them,
Yeah.
doing that thing. It's for me, I've got to really nail it
Yeah.
in a small amount of time, and
Yeah.
that's broken down into making sure the medication's correctly done, making sure everything's fine with them. But it's a process that I've learned.
Yeah.
Not putting something on somebody's body that they're gonna have forever.
But yeah, but still, like you can't mess that up because that's someone's
Yeah.
someone's image at the end of the day. It's the same thing in lots of ways. Like I know this is permanent, which is a bit different, but you still have that pressure of not fucking up someone's image, because doing what you do and doing what I do, like it can change the way people look at themselves,
Yeah,
completely. So it can either knock their confidence or build it. So you've got to be on the ball with it, and
Yeah.
there is that pressure with it, which people don't really see.
I think it is as well, just with me, if I'm doing that type of work all day, particularly when I'm doing GP work, which is a different type but much more intense.
Yeah.
Like now, I don't know if it's just me just getting old, my brain's just saturated with it.
Yeah.
So but I can't sit still after it.
No.
So going to the gym or doing something, but I couldn't do something that's like really requires me to think too much. Like it's got to be something that I can just put my body into it because my mind's tired.
Yeah.
But me as a whole being has
Yeah.
to still be doing something.
Yeah, and because obviously you've done it for so long, and the repetition of it, it just comes
Yeah.
naturally. You don't even have to think about it practically.
Yeah.
Like people say to me when I do portraits, and people I think look at the stuff I do, and people say, do you feel pressure doing that? Because I might be tattooing someone's child who's passed away. A picture of that, or someone's mum or dad's passed away. I do a lot of memorial pieces, and everyone's like, do you not feel the pressure? And I don't feel an ounce of pressure, not a single ounce. I feel like I could do it with my eyes closed if it was possible, because I've done it for so long, and it's been like, I've drawn portraits since I can remember, since my earliest memories that I could pick up a pencil, I was drawing faces. So I'm so like trained in it that it just comes naturally.
Yeah.
And like I can just do it. Yeah. Like I don't even know. Like people get like, what? You got any tips or tricks? And I think
You can just do it, or you can't.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I think it is that
there is.
simple.
It's a bit of both. Like
I literally couldn't. If you asked me to draw now with someone's face, well, first of all, it won't look any good. If it's a 5-year-old to draw it, that is definitely a fact. And secondly, like it's just something about my brain can be so technical and just get things like that, where other people just can't. But actually, it'll just be like a circle and like eyes, and like that'll be it, and that'll be the same for everyone, even though there's nothing wrong with my eyes and looking at you.
Yeah, I think it's just the way your brain works, isn't it? I think, and because I think some people say you're born with stuff, and I obviously was like, I mean, you can be born with a talent, but you've got to make that talent. You've got to practice at what you're good at. Otherwise, it goes to waste.
That's a really good point, actually. I think going back to the beginning when we were talking about your dad and saying to you, you're special and you had that talent that you recognised at that time. Do you think then, if you'd have not heard those words and you've not recognised it yourself, because you're going to be talented, loads of people are, a talent needs to be nurtured and it needs to be directed as well.
Yeah.
And the talent has to line up with the behaviour of how you
Yeah.
showcase and manage it in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, there's no point having it.
No, of course, Like even when I was 16 in school, I've told this story loads of times, but my art teacher gave me a C in art and an F grade of 5, which is the worst you could get. And,
Really?
Yeah, and I remember
God,
getting
they
it
must be
thinking,
pretty good at art then.
I remember thinking, that's not true, because I wasn't into like clay modelling and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, long story short, I used to draw portraits every night, and my dad's seen this report and was like, well, that's not right. And then I had parents' evening, went to parents' evening, went over to her, she didn't even know my name. She was like, who are you? I said, I'm Jay Hutton. And she was like, do I teach you? And I was like, and my dad was like, well, funny you should say that. Look at this. And I'd like my portfolio of all my drawings I'd done since I was like 4 till that age. And he was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, looking through him. And he was like, And she was just trying to put it away. And he was like, no, keep looking at it. Look at this one. And he was going, tell me you could draw better than him in this school. Give me an example of one person that can draw better than him in the school. But as he's saying those things, I'm believing it. I'm thinking, actually, show me as well.
Yeah.
So, I believed anything he'd say like that. So, I don't know.
Well, surely he would have believed it, otherwise he wouldn't be saying it in that way.
So he knew. Yeah, he knew. Yeah, he knew that I had the talent for it, more so than I did. So, but I'd suppose that, like, from hearing it from my dad, and the people, you believe things from people that you respect. If you look up to someone and you respect their knowledge on something and you're trying to learn that, when they tell you you're good at something or you're bad at something, you believe it, whether it's good or bad. So it's who you look up to. That's important.
And I suppose, well, going back to what you're talking about, building confidence, and I suppose one thing I've learned as well, not necessarily about confidence, but about self-belief. So I often used to think, what actually does that mean, self-belief? And I think what I've worked out in my head is that if you kind of keep promises to yourself, like even little things, like my alarm goes off at 6:30 in the morning, I'm like, I don't want to get up. I don't need to be in work until like 9:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I make myself get up, go to gym, do the things I don't necessarily in that moment could like talk myself out of.
Yeah.
But over time, these little things, or doing what you say you're going to do, even if you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was going to go and support, like my friend Gareth's sister the other week in Hull. I said I'd go and support this Strictly Come Dancing thing.
Yeah.
I didn't really at the time, after a really hectic time of work, want to do that.
Yeah.
But I've said I'm doing it, so I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And it's how your reputation to yourself is.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's another thing about things like Dad used to say. And this always sticks with me, and it's so true. You can't run away from yourself. So, you could have said, I'll come to that, and then think on the day, I can't be asked, and then make an excuse. But in your head, you make an excuse and you feel bad because you did say you would, and you let someone down.
Letting them down would have been way worse than me just being a bit tired on the train.
Yeah, exactly. And then you do it and you think, you've proved to yourself, I didn't want to do that, but I pushed through and I went and I've made someone happy and I stayed true to the commitment I made as well. And that's what gives you confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you've got to trust yourself, and that's how you build trust in yourself. It's all those little things that make you trust yourself and your decision making, so that when the big things come around, you've done all the small work, but they've actually built up to the big decisions, and you think, oh, do you know what? I've made all these things and they've worked. I can do this as well. Yeah. And that's how you build trust.
Because I think words like that get thrown around so much, don't they? Particularly to your point before about social media.
Yeah.
Like all this kind of self-love and optimizing yourself, which is great, but actually it's going, what does that mean? When you're saying be more confident, have self-belief, do these things, it's actually doing the back work of going, and maybe, that is just my interpretation. There could be many other variations depending on the person, what their lifestyle, etc. is, but I think it's that in your head to know, I can say I've got self-belief.
That's it.
And it's only because I can look behind me and say, right, well, actually in all these situations, these things have happened, and I now trust myself again. That if anything like that happens again, it wouldn't even really have to think, it wouldn't knock me as much, because I'd just be able to take it in my stride.
Exactly. But like you have to consistently prove to yourself that you are who you say you are. For me, it's like a case of, I live by thinking, don't be full of shit. Don't talk and say you're going to do something that you're not going to do.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that do that. You don't try and pretend to be something you're not, because you will get found out eventually in some way or another, because you can't hold a mask over forever. Yeah. So like I remember when I got on Tattoo Fixers, one of the cameramen said to me, just be yourself, because the camera will always see through it. And I thought, that is true.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm like. I am what you see on camera. That's just who I am, And I don't ever try and pretend to be something I'm not, because you can't keep that mask going forever. Like, imagine consistently portraying being someone that you're not, and then having to keep up that act 24/7.
Well, it's impossible.
It is. And eventually someone will figure you out and be like, oh, he's not like that,
And also all those things, actually, if you were doing that and being someone that you're not, or being completely untrue to yourself, the person having that reputation is way worse than however bad you thought you were initially.
Exactly. And I think that, there'd be nothing worse than getting to the end of your life and looking back on your life and think that you just played a character your whole life, like, and just were fake the whole time, and like it's old saying it, like, you'd rather be hated for who you are than liked for who you're not, and that is so true. Like,
you know what's funny as well with that, Jay? I think we're kind of talking about people who are like doing it to their advantage, or, you know, in a negative way. But some people actually try because they don't believe in themselves enough. Put on this fake life to please others. And then all the time you're just living someone else's life. And I think that is just as bad.
But the thing is, you can't fake real self-belief. You can fake it, but like, you can't. This is why you have to prove to yourself, like, every day you have to prove to yourself that you are who you say you are, because, like you said, you're not truly happy if you're portraying a character that you're not, and you are faking it because you don't believe in yourself. You have to create believing in yourself. I that's what I think. You know. You know what? It's doing the things you don't want to do, the hard stuff that you just think, I really don't want to do that. You know, there's times, like when I first started training in martial arts, like, the last thing I wanted to do was go around and get battered, you know, like, but that was why I did it, because I didn't want to do it. Like, I didn't want to do it. Like, I thought, you know, what can I do around, go, you know, think I can have a go. If I'm out somewhere and someone came up to me and started on me for nothing, could I handle myself? In my head, I thought I could, but not until I walked into martial arts and realised I actually couldn't, you know what I mean? You know, then you start thinking, well, actually, in my head, it's a bit full of shit then. So I go there, I learn, and I think, I want to learn this now. And then you prove to yourself every time you go, I think, tonight's going to be a hard night. You know, I don't really want to get punched I don't want to get punched in the face. But I'll go and do it because I don't want to do it. So, because I know that when I leave that, I'll go, there's some in there.
That's, it's a bit extreme, but mine.
It's just the way I am. I know, yeah.
Right, Jay, just to wrap things up, so in terms of confidence or confidence tips or things that you can give, not necessarily practical advice, but I know we've covered a lot on it already. But just what advice would you give other people?
If there's something that you're struggling with to get through, put one foot in front of the other and don't think too far ahead. One day at a time, one step at a time. You know, think about the things you have to do that day and the next day, and don't think past it. That's how you get through things long term. For building confidence, it depends on. I think every situation is different, and everyone's lives are different, and what it is particularly that they're struggling. You know, if someone was getting bullied, I'd say go and learn martial arts. One of the best things you could do, even just if you don't want to be a fighter, just learn. That'll give you so much confidence. It's good to just know how to defend yourself. I just think, and doing the right thing. Like, the right thing is normally the hardest thing to do. It's quite easy to do the wrong thing. And that's why most people choose to do the wrong thing, because it's the easiest option. But by doing the right thing and taking the hard route and the hard option, you build that trust with yourself and prove to yourself that, you know, you are who you say you are, and that you can be something and level up and become whoever you want to become.
Brilliant. Top tips. Thank you so much. That was really amazing to chat to you.
Thanks for having me.